Hey, what's up? Travel Chronicles. I believe it's chapter 50. If not, it's right around there. We're right near the halfway point of this whole little project, and it's the day after Labor Day, Tuesday, so September the 8th, 2020. And I looked at the COVID numbers today. We'll just start off with that. They're at the lowest they've been in a long time. I think 250 was the number of deaths for yesterday. And the weekend's always rough, or a holiday. They're always low, but I think there's only 25,000 cases, so now that's back down below, where we thought the old peak was. Right, we peaked in the 30s, and then once they improved the availability of the test, then it shot up into the 60,000 range. So now we're back down in the 25s, and that's interesting because schools are starting. You'd think you'd see like some massive pickup just from that interaction, but that's encouraging from the standpoint of the schools are taking the correct precautions. Obviously, there's a lot of schools that are starting up with the social distancing protocols, are giving the kids the option to remote learn, so that's going to limit the exposure there. But at least it hasn't been some massive increase to where they've shut the schools down within 5 days of starting. So the school where we're at is starting its second week, so we'll see obviously going forward, but to me it's encouraging. At least I think some of the schools in the South started beginning of August. They had this massive uptick, but there's so many politics involved in it that it's so hard to figure out, is this number like the actual number, or is this some politicized number because they're looking for a different president. And it's just everybody's out there trying to spin stuff a certain way. The president didn't handle this well, or he's like, oh no, I think we've handled this great. And honestly, you've never seen the country come to a screeching halt for war, anything less than war, terrorist attack, something like this. This was a pandemic. This is the most serious I've ever seen any type of flu virus taken on a national stage. And I think part of it is we got our hand forced by what was going on with Italy right before it came to the U.S. If they hadn't struggled with it so badly, then we may not have seen the steps that were taken. And it was still handled really poorly in New York and New Jersey. How they handled the retirement homes, the people who were susceptible to this. They didn't put protocols in early enough to help those people out. There was one report I read that said like 72% of the deaths were just deaths that were brought ahead by like 6 to 9 months. Like these were people who were going to die within the next 6 to 9 months, and the COVID just kind of exacerbated it. And COVID takes the full credit for the death, even though these people were, really limited in how much longer they had anyway. So, it's a little bit disappointing. It's a little bit disingenuous, the numbers and the amount of deaths to say, well, these were all COVID related. It was all 100% COVID. It's like, these people were not in the best shape. They may not have made it through the year anyway. It's just one of those things, we're all born with a terminal illness. It's called mortality, and there's just nothing you can do to get around it. Yeah, it'd be great if everybody lived forever, but that's not the case. And if you don't take care of yourself and do the right things, then your life expectancy goes down even more. And even if you do the right things, there's no guarantee that your genetics won't just override that and you still have a heart attack when you're 40. You just don't know. I mean, you try to look at the studies and look at the different things, but until somebody actually dies, you don't know whether it did any good. I mean, if they live to a certain age, it's like, oh, well, they live to, they're already 95, so what they're doing is working really well. There's a lot of people from that generation that have already died, so, obviously they were doing something wrong. A lot of hard living, smoking, drinking, dealing with a lot of stress. Is that what's doing it? Working long hours, not exercising, eating too much red meat. Some people just hit the genetics lottery and have settled into like really good routines. You need 8 hours of sleep a night. Maybe you're not getting that. Maybe that's what's gonna get you. I mean, you can feel good, everything look good on the surface, and just gone. Well, what happened? What did he do wrong? Well, I don't want to do what he did. Okay. You just go the opposite way. Right? My dad drank a lot when I was, for my early lifetime. He died when I was 20. But for 18 of those 20 years, he drank a lot. Like, we would get 11, 12, actually I think it was in the 20s, because I think we would load a wagon down with about 10 cases of beer, take it to the back, take it to the cellar, and then load up the wheelbarrow with another 10, 20 cases of beer, and that's what he would drink for. I'm not sure how often, but our neighbor used to be a bartender, and he would get the beer wholesale, I think. It was Milwaukee's Best is what he would normally drink. As far as beers go, I don't think it was the top end beer out there. But he would drink that, and I don't know how long. I mean, it lasted more than a week, obviously, but once a month, once every 3 months. I'm not sure what the time frame was. So, but I remember doing that when I was younger. And he drank it all. Maybe he'd give a can away here and there. People came over. I think for the most part, he'd probably drink like 90% of that beer. He died when he was 74. And he smoked too for most of the time. After he had his first surgery, he quit smoking. He had to. He went to cigars for a while when they told him to quit. Like the ones with a thick filter. But then he had to eventually give that up too. And then you look at how he lived, and I was 20 at the time. It's like, I don't want to die like that, but if it's something genetically that's going to cause me to get that, it doesn't matter if I drink or don't drink. But at the time, you're like, well, I'm not going to drink then. I was only 20 anyway. I wasn't like I was 21. I couldn't go just buy a case of beer. I guess depending on where I went, I probably could have. But that's kind of directed me a little bit. But I got alcohol when I was young. My dad would, if he had a can out, just take a drink of this. Go ahead. And I think I was like 11 or 12 when I drank my first full can of beer. We were splitting wood. And it's just, it was never something that was just, oh my goodness, beer, I can't wait till I'm old enough to have beer. And it's like, oh, go ahead, have some, okay. It was never out of reach. It was just one of those things where it's like, well, maybe you don't want to do this. Well, maybe I don't. I can look back at things now and say that, nothing good in my life has ever occurred because I was drinking alcohol. Not one thing I've ever looked at and said, well, I'm really glad that happened because I was drinking. No. And I don't know if there's too many people out there that say that, oh man, I had such a good time because I was drunk. Did you? You were cleaning up your vomit? Somebody else was? Or somebody had to hold your hair? It was a fun time, huh? I had fun. I was completely sober. I don't know. I just kind of a control freak too. I have to be in control, as much as possible. If a meteor falls on me out of nowhere, I had no control over it, right? But, in your everyday life, I can control not being inebriated when I drive home from work. I don't go to the bar first and then try to drive 40 minutes. It's just one of those things. That lifestyle, that way of living, I've seen how he lived, and it just doesn't appeal to me, because I would go to the bars with him little. Obviously I couldn't drink at the bar. They weren't going to serve me. But you're sober the whole time, you see how he's acting, maybe not so sober. And just a little kid trying to fill your time at the bar playing like the video games or the machines and stuff, and there's only so much for like a little kid to do in those types of places. It's just not. You grow to not enjoy those types of places. It's not some oasis where, oh, hey, your parents are going to the bar, too bad you can't go. It's like, oh no, I was there. Yeah, I got to go. It was not enjoyable at all. You're a little kid. It's like, oh, can I have a bag of chips? Can I have this? What's on TV? Not much. Oh, that's interesting. That guy passed on the right. He must be in a really big hurry. That is insane. Wow. I'm going to get up to that stoplight ahead of everybody else. Insane. I was hoping I was going to get up there. I'm going to give him a little salute. That's alright. So this past weekend I got to play disc golf for the first time. That was exciting. I got a 64. It was a par 3 course, so it was 10 over. But not too bad. I have my own set of discs to play with. Went with Elijah, so that was neat. That was our first time going to actually play. I did win. But he played with just a regular frisbee. He didn't play with the disc. So I don't know if that's fair or who had the advantage there. There were some holes where he did pretty well, and some holes where I did pretty well. So, I don't know. It's learning. It's way more enjoyable than regular golf, though. Yeah, I've got some stuff to learn, technique-wise, but you can go out and just throw a frisbee, back and forth, and kind of practice a little bit. Whereas golf, you got to go to the driving range and just hit a ball away from you. It's not like you can hit a ball to somebody and then have them hit it back to you. Practice that way. I mean, you can hit some balls somewhere and then go hit them back to where you were at. I never got into golf that much. Dad did take me when I was younger. Sure. That was one of the things we did a little bit of. Not a ton. Probably would have been awesome to do, more of. He took me fishing too. I don't think it was just all at the bars all the time. We did go fishing, did go golfing some. But after about 7th grade, I completely lost interest because we were at this one thing. There was junior golf through the golf club, and Dad was a charter member of the golf club, Swiss Hills, Switzerland of Ohio, country club. And he was an avid golfer. When he was in his 40s and 50s, I guess, he would go almost every Sunday, at least once a week. I think he would be out there golfing. He had a foursome that they'd go every Sunday, and he was part of that original group that founded the country club. So, I'm his son. He's going to take me out, teach me how to golf. And there was a junior league or something. I forget exactly what it was. And you could participate in, and there was some good people from Woodsfield that would come over and play in it. And I was never a great golfer. I knew what to do, what clubs to hit where, that type of stuff. But I we were playing in that thing. And I went through, I don't think I had the spikes either. I didn't have golf spikes. Like, that was one thing about my parents. Like, we never went all out for it. It's like, we're going to go do it, but you just wear whatever you got. Just use whatever you got. It was never, well, we're getting you the designer clubs, or, you know, here's the brand new fishing rod. No, it's not like that. Here's your hand-me-down stuff for you to use. Anyway, out golfing, and I stepped in. It was a real bad spot. It was wet, muddy, slipped, just covered in mud, like the whole side of it. And I was so embarrassed, you know, right? Because it happened right there in front of all these other kids and stuff. You know, I can't remember if I finished the round. I think I finished the round. I may have just left the course right then. I think it was on hole like number 7. Or it was down by the pond. And I think I went back. I think I went back to the clubhouse. I think I called it a day, right? I came back. And well, Dad came in after that, and he's like, well, here, you got a putter. Whatever that thing was that was in, like, they were giving prizes to the kids, you know, just for doing it. It's like, I got a putter. All right. That's like the only club that I've gotten that's my own golf club, was that putter. And I'm not sure, where was I going with that story? I don't know. Did it have a point? Anyway. I think I wanted to talk about other sports and stuff, because this is Elijah's senior year of cross country, and it came to me Friday. It's a nice segue, right? Just ended that story. I mean, that was the end of it, pretty much. Anyway, it comes Friday. He says, you know, I think I can win the race. I'm going to try to win the race. Cross country is a little different sport than other sports, where like basketball, football, baseball, volleyball, or something, where you can, you know, say, all right, the game tomorrow, I'm really motivated, I'm going to try my hardest, you know, where you can get to every ball, or, you know, if you're pitching or something in baseball, maybe you're really fired up, or you're at bat, you're really locked in, you know, hitting the ball, or if you're quarterback on a football team, or, you know, maybe even a defensive player, and you're looking at the plays the other team runs, and you're gonna, you know, get to the spot and really, you know, try to get around blocks, get off blocks, just like use like the best technique that you possibly can. Cross country doesn't work like that. You know, you can't just say, tomorrow I'm going to try. I mean, you could maybe try and get like 1 or 2 more spots than what you would have gotten if you just went out and ran, right? But cross country is probably 90% prep and 10% actual race. So the part that you're affecting is small. You know, if there's, you know, 100 people in the race, you race hard, maybe you can improve 10 spots. You know, depending on how good you are to start. But I would say that's it. You know, the other 90% of where you finish is going to be determined by how many miles you ran in the off season, what kind of training you did, what was your prep, you know, the night before. Did you get a good night's sleep? Are you well hydrated? You know, all those types of things. Those are the things that are going to, like, you could really sink a race if you're not well hydrated and things of those nature. So he comes and he says, I'm going to win that. I think I can win that race today. And I'm like, that's not how that works. You know, and he has run a ton of money. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, he has put time in. This is his senior year. So he's got 6 years of doing this, where he's got his time in. He's got his miles in. That he's got a large base of miles. He's a good runner. Is his form perfect? No. Has he had a great off season? No. And is he getting treated for his knees right now? Physical therapy? Yes. You know? So, you know, I told him, I was like, you know, that's great. That's a good idea. He's like, well, you don't believe in me. You don't think I can win. It's like, no, it's not that. It's just, that's not how that sport works. You know? You have to have, there's certain things that you have to go through. There are no shortcuts in cross country, right? like literally, there's no shortcuts, but also the training that you have to do, the miles you have to put in, the time you have to spend doing stuff. If you want to be an elite runner, I mean, it's a lot. It really is. And then there's, form things you can work on, things you have to get better at, certain muscles you have to develop. Even though you're running every day, you still have to work on core, you still have to work on upper body. And if you neglect any of those things, your time suffers. You have to do everything just right, plus diet right. You got to put the right fuel in your body. You got to fuel at the right times. All these things have to happen for race day. And he does most of the things well because he's made mistakes in the past, right? Where he didn't have enough energy, where he's cramped during a race, or he didn't get an ice bath. He wasn't prepared for the races. And he knows which ones are important to him. So that this is one that was important. Well, he was the first one across for his team, but he got fourth. I don't know if he's a little bit disappointed, but he ran 18, somewhere around there. Fastest time this year, and that's not a course that he particularly likes. It's not. He likes the flat courses where you can just go out and just run, and they're not real technical or hilly. Even though I think he's got a lot better hills over 4 years, and he's probably the biggest runner. If it was my weight class, he probably would have won, right? Or he'd won his weight class. So, there's just so many things that go into it that you have to do well at, and he does well at like 90%. But just coming in and saying, well, I'm going to win this one, it's like, if your main competition isn't there, you've got a shot, sure. But if things haven't been going well, you have to be careful too, because if you're just going to go all out and really push yourself, now you're looking at maybe injuring yourself. Now you don't have the rest of your season. So that was the only thing I was concerned about. Not that I didn't think he could win. I just didn't want him to hurt himself the rest of the races, because I want him to have the full season. Even if he's finishing, 5 through 10, I'm not going to knock that. That still takes a tremendous amount of time and effort and prep, and everything else has to go right. You can't have any, mistakes. And he had a slight mistake in one of the earlier races where he started to make a wrong turn because they changed the course a little bit, I think, or it looked a little different. And he just made a little bit of a wrong turn. He had to course correct, get back on the course, and I think it cost him 3 or 4 spots. That's one of those things. That's the race. That's that 10% where you got to do that part right too. But if you want to win, you want to do well, I think your focus is going to be there, and that makes it easier. We'll see tonight. Faith is trying to get 10 points in a game so that she can get another ear piercing. So I don't know how that's going to work. We'll see. But hopefully she comes out and she's focused and ready to do her best. That's all I want. I just want you to do your best. And I don't want you to get hurt or injured or hurt anybody else. Go out. Just please do not injure yourself, especially for the rest of your life. Getting injured for the rest of your life is definitely not worth it. That's all I got for today. I think that's enough. That's a lot. But we're halfway, so this is a big one. And it's after a holiday. I might check in later in the week to see how things are going. I gotta find my charger too. I don't know what to do with it. But wild times right now. Hopefully things will calm down here in another month. All right. See you later. Stay COVID free.